What's up, weirdos? Welcome back to my channel. This is a little bonus video you're getting, so you might notice, please, are you wearing the same outfit as you were wearing in the other video? Yes, the answer is yes, because I'm filming these back to back, baby. But so I just want to do a little reaction to this Vogue article that came out about why horror movies were bad this year. I saw the title and I was like, what? And I started reading and I was like, hold it. I'm gonna talk about this on camera. To all you people that probably read it and are all mad and whatever, I just want to react to it, so I'm gonna read it and then talk about it. Ready? Okay. Wait, oh my god, Vogue's trying to sell me stuff. Okay. So first, I'll just say in the article, it says, wasn't this supposed to be the golden age of horror? And then it starts with a picture of Jamie Lee Curtis, my queen, in the new Halloween. And it starts with this. Remember when horror was good? It wasn't that long ago, just last year in fact. Scary movies went on an absolute tear in 2017. We have blockbusters like Split and It. Autorist chillers like Raw, It Comes at Night, Thelma, Super Dark Times, and of course, Get Out, Jordan Peele's masterpiece of social horror that should have won an Oscar, and when it didn't, maybe the air went out of the genre. Like, horror movies never win Oscars. Calm down. Something happened. I'm not sure there's been a good scary movie since. I beg to differ, but let's keep reading. So there was Hereditary in June. Yeah, it's a masterpiece. There was A Quiet Place. Literally another masterpiece. I'm saying this. Literally another masterpiece, because it's literally a silent film. It's a silent horror movie. Like, that is so sick. Okay. Which was a, so she says, which was, is it a she? Yeah, this is Taylor Antrium. Okay, so which was a, this is about A Quiet Place, which was a fun 90 minutes at the multiplex, but really more of a PG-13 thriller than a horror flick. What? Okay, no, A Quiet Place is a really smart horror movie, and I was scared. Do you want to have a baby in a bathtub silently? I don't think so. Was that a spoiler? Oh my god, I'm so sorry. Okay, what else? Did you subject yourself to Winchester? Didn't see it. The Nun. Okay, it wasn't amazing. And Slender Man. Worst movie of 2017. Terrible, terrible movie. My review on that down below somewhere. Okay, we didn't even have a decent shark movie this year. The Meg? Okay. Sorry if it's confusing when I'm reading the article and talking to you, but normally I'm reading or I'm talking. Okay, cool. So, no, 2018 has not been good for horror. And I'm including David Gordon Green's wildly overpraised Halloween in that assessment, which has been making buckets of money, perhaps because there's nothing else remotely scary to go see. But Halloween is not scary. It's ploddingly retro slasher film and strenuously, I'd say cynically woke in its vision of female empowerment via revenge. Sorry, that makes me so mad. I fully disagree. I think the new Halloween is scary, and I think it's amazing for women in horror. Ugh, whatever. Okay, so here I go. It's hard not to be happy for Jamie Lee Curtis, who has been taking a victory lap for headlining the highest grossest film in history with a female lead over 55. But all that money doesn't make Halloween any less forgettable. It's literally not forgettable. I'm gonna go see it again. Suspiria is not forgettable, nor is it, I hasten to say, much of a horror film. Literally, Suspiria is one of the most horrifying movies I have ever seen. Like, it is so unsettling. I think this person doesn't understand what horror movies are. Okay. So nor is it, I hasten to say, much of a horror movie, despite being a remake of one. Italian director Luca Guadagnino has turned Dario Argento's campy 70s classic, A Crimson Bloodbath of a movie, into a self-serious art film set in Berlin, which is so stylized and airless that it's impossible to feel much of anything when watching it beyond confusion. I just fully have to disagree. I think what's amazing right now is that horror movies are being allowed to expand into other genres. So we have these sort of crossovers where, yeah, like Suspiria sort of is a horror movie and an art film, but it has created its own distinct version of horror that I feel so intensely while I was watching it. Okay, anyways. So horror needs an element of fun and of dark delight. In parentheses, Hereditary, which I liked, missed this quality too. Okay. And I defy you to take on any delight in Suspiria. I actually thought there were parts that were quite funny. Some of the lines were funny. Or to explain what on earth is going on, that final set piece. Maybe you just didn't get it. Look it up. Just kidding. I also had questions. But it's okay. You're allowed to have questions at the end of a movie. It's chill. Okay. In which heads explode and bodies fall apart and never once does your heart race. Maybe this person just doesn't have a heart. Sorry. Okay. It has been rolling out slowly across the country and may eventually perform well at the box office, probably because there's so much pent-up demand for horror and so much goodwill for Guadagnino after transporting Call Me By Your Name, which is a great movie. I will say I wasn't born in Suspiria. In parentheses, I was born in Halloween. How is this person born in Halloween? Also, I'm curious if this Taylor is a boy or a girl writing this, because I feel like you cannot be a woman and not understand how important and amazing the new Halloween movie is. Like, I just don't think that's possible. Okay, any scares on the small screen? Television is where the action is these days anyways, and I applauded The Terror on AMC this spring for actually bringing chills to episodic TV. Not an easy thing to do. Haven't seen it, sorry. There is buzz around horror maestro Jason Blum's investment in Blumhouse TV, but has yet to yield anything really interesting, and I'm including this new monthly horror anthology Into the Dark on Hulu in that judgment. Also haven't seen. Since Netflix original movie offerings are finally getting good, I watched Gareth Evans' new film The Apostle with great anticipation. It's a Wicker Man style story of a religious cult on a Welsh island at the turn of the century, starring Dan Stevens, Lucy Boynton, and Michael Sheen. But it's a mess, devolving into torture-laced melodrama somewhere around the hour mark, and then you have another hour to go. Haven't seen that, cannot comment. Which brings me to The Haunting of Hill House, a 10-part series. I'm so scared of where this person's gonna go with this. Okay, a 10-part series on Netflix, which comes to us from director Mike Flanagan, who gave me a thrill or two with his films Oculus, Ouija, Origin of Evil, and Hush. I really do see all these movies, in parentheses. Good for you. Hill House has... Hill House has rich source material in Shirley Jackson's 1959 novel, and it has ambition to spare. This is much a 6 Feet Under style drama about the fault lines in a family, as it is a spook show about a haunted house. But the scares are here. A grotesquely tall ghost floating around the hall, a crone with a snapped neck, a pale open-mouthed creature in the basement. The trouble is, ... Netflix? A natural bloat of streaming TV. Hill House is well over 10 hours of television, and the pacing is agonizingly slow. I think the pacing of Hill House is really important, just so you know. I think every horror movie doesn't have to be a thousand jump scares. Like, it doesn't always have to be like that. There are many different ways to do a horror movie. Horror is about dark delight, yes, but it's also about intensity. Literally, Hill House is the most intense movie. Okay, I mean, show. You know what I mean. Okay, you're with me. We're together. We're together. Here's what you'll notice while waiting to see another ghost. The generic nowhere vibe of the locations, the strangely cheap glit glow lighting, the mediocre acting. The acting is great in Hill House. Okay, sorry. I've enjoyed many a low-budget, badly acted horror film, but the good ones race along so quickly that you don't care. Clearly this person only likes a very traditional American horror movie that's like an 80s quick fast slasher. Like, we have progressed into new worlds and new ideas and new horror movies. Okay. This is all more disappointing because just living through 2018 has felt a bit like a horror film. Finally, something I would have to agree with. The counterintuitive thing about scary movies is they can actually make us feel better, not worse, about the horrors of the real world. This is in quotes, so we go to horror not to be terrified. The Ace horror director, Karen Kusama, who did The Invitation, told me last year, in quotes again, but to be terrified in a familiar form that allows us just a little bit of control over our experience. I like that quote a lot. I think that makes a lot. I'm interested in learning more about Karen Kusama because that's a great quote. Okay. And then the writer says, "Control!" exclamation point. Wouldn't that be a nice feeling to have right now? The year isn't over and maybe a good cathartic scare is on its way. Otherwise, here's to the golden age of horror returning in 2019. End of article. It's so funny to me that this person wrote this because I felt like 2018 has had some of the most exciting horror movies that I have seen. And yes, there are exceptions. Once again, Slender Man was one of the worst movies ever. One of the highest budget worst movies ever. But this, like, Halloween is incredible. Also, this author didn't even mention Mandy or The Meg, or, I mean, like, this person just seems like they have a very specific type of horror movie that follows a very specific formula that brings that they like. And they're not necessarily interested in other types of horror. Like, for example, like Suspiria and Haunting of Hill House both work a lot with like a feeling of being unsettled and the slow and long form scare, which I personally love, and maybe is not everyone's cup of tea because it does make for a slower movie and less of a like roller coaster experience. But it's still horrific in its own ways, and I think this person just shutting down all these great strides that horror has made this year is really unfortunate and sad. So just so we're clear, I had not fully read that article until I just did on camera, and mostly it just makes me sad because it feels like this person has a very specific formula of horror movie that they find interesting, and that they enjoy, and are not interested in the growth of the genre at all. And that makes me sad because I feel like the genre has grown a lot in these last few years. And particularly when I look at things like Haunting of Hill House and Suspiria, which are sort of these more like odes towards like European horror, where they're like these slower, long form scares, and not the traditional American jump scare, fast and furious roller coaster ride that is great and I love. But I'm just saying there's other options, and I think filmmakers in America, okay, Luca's obviously Italian, but like, I think filmmakers in America are starting to be interested in other types of structures for a horror movie, and the blending, as Hereditary does, of drama and horror. And I think that's so exciting and creates horror movies that are more dynamic and have more depth and are more interesting and are have more lasting impressions when you leave the theater, and I think that's awesome. And I think this writer just sort of ignored that, and that sort of bums me out because some of my favorite horror movies in a long time have come out in 2018. But yeah, so that's sort of my reaction to that article. I know a lot of people are talking about it right now, so I just wanted to be like, this is what I think. So this is what I think. So yeah, for all my horror friends out there, all my subscribers, everyone, and everyone that's making horror movies in 2018, just like, good job. I am proud of a lot of the movies that came out this year, even though I had nothing to do with them. And yeah, I'll talk to you guys in my next video. Have a nice spring. Bye!